Welcome to today's deep dive. I am so incredibly glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, it is wonderful to have you with us.
I really want to extend a very warm, heartfelt welcome to you as you listen right now. Because, well, we aren't just reading history in this session.
No, not at all.
We are going to physically walk through it. Imagine a town where the centuries aren't just, neatly filed away in some dusty library somewhere.
Right.
But they're carved into stone, and they're paved over cobblestones and reflected in the deep waters of a mountain lake.
It really is the difference between just learning about history and actually standing inside it. The geography itself becomes the archive.
Exactly, which brings us to our destination for today's deep dive. We are going to Annecy, France.
Often called the Venice of the Alps.
Yes, the Venice of the Alps. And we've pulled together a really fascinating stack of sources for this one. We've got everything from self-guided walking tour maps, the official architectural documentation from the Musée Château d'Annecy, and several local cultural guides.
It's a great miss of materials.
It is. And our mission today is to take you way beyond those, picturesque postcard views. We're going to unpack the architectural and cultural layers of Annecy.
Yeah, exploring how a settlement basically evolves from this little Roman outpost into a thriving, completely modern cultural hub.
To really decode Annecy, I feel like you have to start by looking at the ground beneath your feet, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
the ground, and then you immediately cast your eyes up to the hill towering above the town. Because the foundation of this place is dictated entirely by its geography.
Let's follow that timeline, actually, because the Annecy we see today, this stunning alpine town, it isn't the original version.
Not even close.
If we rewind the clock to 50 BC, the Romans recognized the strategic value of this specific location, and they established a settlement called Bute.
Right.
But after the Roman Empire collapsed, Bute didn't just slowly decline. The sources say it was entirely deserted.
Completely abandoned.
Which is wild. It makes you wonder, how a location good enough for Roman engineers just gets left to the elements like that.
Well, you have to remember that the Romans relied on this massive, highly interconnected logistical network.
Right, the roads and trade routes.
Exactly. So when that empire fractured, the trade routes that sustained a place like Bute just dried up. And the infrastructure you need to maintain a town in that specific kind of harsh alpine environment, it just vanished.
So they just packed up and left.
Pretty much. But, geography dictates destiny. A location with a pristine alpine lake and easily defensible hills is just too valuable to ignore forever.
So it bounces back.
Yeah, by the 8th century, a rebirth occurs. A new settlement forms, and it's called Aniciaca.
Aniciaca, which the sources mention was named after a prominent local guy, Aniciacus.
Right.
And as that medieval town began to grow, the priorities of its people became incredibly obvious. I mean, you can see it physically manifested right now on the hill overlooking the town.
The Château d'Annecy.
Yes, perched right up there. It served as the residence for the Counts of Geneva straight through the 13th and 14th centuries.
And the castle's architecture is, it serves as this perfect physical record of human progress. It documents a really profound shift in human psychology over the centuries.
I definitely noticed this stark contrast in the museum's documentation. The oldest part of the castle is the Tour de la Reine.
The Queen's Tower.
Right, dating back to the 13th century, it stands over 30 meters high.
Huh.
But the detail that just stopped me in my tracks is the walls.
The thickness of the walls.
Yes. They're up to 3.3 meters thick. I mean, if you're the Count of Geneva in the 1300s, why commit the sheer human labor required to build stone walls over 3 meters thick on top of a hill?
Sounds excessive.
Right. Were the siege weapons of that era even capable of breaching something smaller?
Well, it wasn't just about stopping a physical projectile. I mean, yes, trebuchets and early sapping techniques were genuine threats back then.
Sure.
But those 3.3 meter walls were really a psychological tool. Yeah. It is, it's an architecture of absolute deterrence.
Like sending a message.
Exactly. In the 13th century, central authority was incredibly weak, and regional skirmishes were just constant. So a wall that thick sends a very clear message to any approaching army.
It says, don't even bother.
Right. Because a siege here will cost you months of your lives and countless resources. It guarantees survival purely through intimidation.
It's basically a windowless, concrete panic room. Just pure survival.
That is exactly what it was.
But then, moving through the castle's timeline in the sources, that defensive mindset just completely evaporates.
It does. It's a sudden shift.
By the 16th century, they build the Logis Nemours and the Logis Neuf, the new lodging house. And suddenly, the architecture isn't about repelling the outside world at all.
No, it's inviting it in.
It's like a city taking down its structural firewall because it finally trusts the network. They literally traded defensive stone for natural light and bandwidth.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it, actually.
Yeah.
The Renaissance brought this period of relative stabilization and a shift toward humanism. The architecture reflects a society that no longer lives in constant fear of a siege.
And this shift is so dramatic. They pivot to this elegant Renaissance style, and they install massive windows to flood the rooms with natural light.
They commission elaborate wall paintings.
Yes. And they added the ultimate 16th century luxury indoor latrines.
The height of comfort for the time.
It totally transforms the lived experience of the building. You go from a dark, damp, imposing fortress focused purely on surviving the winter to upgrading to a luxury glass-walled penthouse.
It's a space designed for comfort, aesthetics, and, actually enjoying the sweeping views of the lake.
Which really demonstrates how human ambition expands when basic survival is secured.
Oh, absolutely. The castle captures that transition perfectly. Eventually, of course, the nobility moved on.
As they do.
Right. The chateau was abandoned as a residence in the 17th century. Then it was repurposed as a military barracks until 1947.
Wow, a long time.
Yeah, and finally it was bought by the city in 1953 to serve as the museum that we see today.
That concept of repurposing is actually the perfect bridge to our next layer. Because if we stand at the parapets of that castle and look down into the winding cobblestone streets below us,
The interlocking waterways.
yeah, we descend into the absolute heart of the old town. This is where the messy daily administration of historical and actually took place.
While the nobles looked down from their comfortable hill, the actual economic and judicial reality of the town was being hammered out down on the water.
And nothing captures that reality better than the Palais de l'Isle.
Such an iconic building.
It really is. It's this stone structure built right on a tiny island in the middle of the Thio waterway, dating back to the 12th century.
Right.
Now, the sources indicate the single building has served as a fortress, a mint, a courthouse, a jail, and now a museum.
Quite the resume.
I have to push back on this with a little amused disbelief, honestly, because the logistics of that sound like a terrible heist movie waiting to happen.
Oh, for sure.
How do you physically operate a courthouse, a jail holding criminals, and a mint where you are actively manufacturing currency all on one tiny island?
It sounds chaotic if you imagine all those functions happening in the exact same room at the exact same time.
Right, just people stamping coins while the judge yells.
Exactly. But the reality is a sequential process of adaptive reuse, which was really driven by topography.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
So in a water-bound medieval town, space is your absolute most restricted asset. You can't just pave over a suburb to build a shiny new municipal center.
Because there are no suburbs, it's just water and mountains.
Precisely. So they were forced to ruthlessly recycle their most secure infrastructure. The island itself acts as a natural moat,
Right.
which provides unparalleled security. Early on, that extreme security was utilized for the mint, protecting the town's raw wealth.
Makes total sense.
But as the economy shifted and the mint eventually relocated, the town was left with this highly defensible, inescapable stone structure right in the center of the river.
So they look at it and say, what else needs thick walls?
Exactly. What else requires that level of security? A prison, and subsequently a courthouse to process the prisoners going into that prison.
Yeah.
The building just adapted to whatever the governing body desperately needed in that specific century.
That is so interesting. Think about your own neighborhood for a second, right? As you're listening, we all have that one corner building that used to be a bank, and then it became a restaurant, and now it's a bookstore.
Oh, absolutely.
Annecy was practicing that exact kind of municipal recycling 800 years ago, just with fortresses and prisons.
It is the ultimate testament to architectural resilience. The structure survives simply because it remains useful.
Well, leaving that little island, you immediately encounter the sheer density of the old town. You cross the Pont Perrier.
Which spans the waterway.
Yeah, and it's supposedly the most photographed spot in all of Annecy. It is lined with these striking Piedmontese-style facades.
Very vibrant.
Yeah, for anyone visualizing this, we aren't talking about bleak, gray alpine stone. We are talking about vibrant ochres, deep burnt oranges, and fading terracottas with prominent shuttered windows.
And those visual elements are critical because they represent a massive cultural importation.
How so?
Well, the House of Savoy, which ruled this region for centuries, they also controlled territories stretching across the Alps straight down into Italy.
Oh, okay.
So those warm Piedmontese colors physically brought the aesthetic of the Mediterranean right into the crisp, cold alpine environment.
That's a beautiful image. And you walk past those warm facades right onto the Rue Saint-Clair, which is the old town's pedestrianized high street.
Bordered by those lovely arcaded houses.
Right, they shelter the walkways, and it all terminates at the fortified Saint-Clair Gate. You really feel the enclosure of a bustling medieval world there.
You do.
But as we move forward in time in our sources, the town's aesthetic identity begins to fracture and diversify. It becomes heavily influenced by shifting geopolitical borders.
Yes. Annecy's architecture is actually an incredibly precise physical map of its political history. Whenever a border moved or a spiritual movement swept through the region, the town's builders responded.
You see this most clearly in the religious architecture, actually. Just looking at the churches, you can map out the competing influences.
Oh, definitely.
Take the St. Maurice Church, built in the 15th century. It utilizes a very specific Savoyard Gothic style.
It's robust.
Very robust, with a wider nave designed to accommodate a large mountain congregation. And its bell tower is tucked oddly right next to the chevet at the eastern end, which kind of breaks the standard symmetrical mold you might expect.
It feels very anchored to the region, very much a pure product of the Savoyard state.
But then, just a short walk away, you encounter the Annecy Cathedral.
A completely different story.
Totally. It started its life as a 16th century convent, but as the centuries passed, it underwent this profound architectural identity crisis.
That's a great way to put it.
The exterior projects this imposing Renaissance facade. But then once you step inside, you are greeted by a distinctly neoclassical choir.
A real mashup.
It is. And stepping back outside into the Place Notre Dame, you are surrounded by an 18th century former town hall and more of those warm Italian-influenced Piedmontese houses.
So literally, in a 15-minute stroll, you transition from 15th century Savoyard Gothic to Italian-influenced Piedmontese housing, straight into the Renaissance and neoclassical design of the cathedral.
It's head-spinning.
It is. But this architectural synthesis is the direct result of a town constantly existing at the crossroads of European powers.
The ultimate geopolitical shift, though, the one that radically changed the town's modern face, happened in 1863.
The annexation.
Yes, that was the year the region of Savoie was officially annexed to France. And this wasn't just like a change in paperwork. It ushered in an entirely new philosophy of town planning and landscaping.
Because when sovereignty transferred to France, the defensive posturing of the town finally dissolved. Paris at the time was in the midst of the Haussmann era.
Right, the famous Parisian renovation.
Exactly, focusing on grand boulevards, public parks, and really opening up congested spaces. And that philosophy traveled straight down to Annecy.
They started looking at the lake not as a vulnerable flank that needed defending, but as a feature to be highlighted.
Right, an asset.
That is when the Jardin, the gardens of Europe, were laid out. You stand in those gardens today, surrounded by manicured greenery, looking out over the deep blue waters of Lake Annecy toward the Ile des Cygnes, the Swan's Island.
It is an engineered, picturesque environment. The environment is curated for leisure now, which requires a society that feels entirely secure in its borders.
And this era also gives us the Pont des Amours, the Lover's Bridge. It bridges the Vieille Canal right where it meets the lake.